Kalen's heart pounded in his chest as he sprinted through the dense forest, the ominous echoes of distant footsteps on his trail. The air was crisp with the scent of earth and magic, each breath charged with the unknown. He had only glimpsed the artifact once before, the Scepter of Verion, housed within a crumbling vine-covered ruin, hidden deep within Lorien woods. Its power hummed in his hands as he clutched it tightly, feeling its energy pulse with every beat of his racing pulse. The ancient legend had warned of its capabilities, told under starlit skies by village elders. But those were only tales until now. Beside him, Era, the fierce warrior from the northern tribes, moved with the grace of a wildcat, her eyes sharp and focused. "Keep moving, Kalen. They're gaining on us," she urged, her voice a mix of determination and urgency. From the shadows behind a twisted oak, Mari, the cunning rogue from the bustling city of Helost, emerged. "I've got an idea, but you're not going to like it," she said, a sly grin playing on her lips. Before Kalen could respond, an explosion of darkness swept over the forest, pushing the group to their knees. The air crackled with dark magic as a chilling laughter echoed through the trees. "Nerys is awake," murmured Tomlin, the wise sage of the Whispering Woods, his voice tinged with an ancient sadness. Time was slipping away like sand through fingers. The fate of Lorien seemed poised on a knife's edge, and the responsibility weighed heavily on Kalen's shoulders. "We need to reach the Whispering Tower," Tomlin continued, steadying himself against an old staff as he rose. "It holds the key to understanding the scepter and defeating the darkness." Kalen nodded, fear and determination mingling in his chest. They had to move swiftly, never knowing what awaited them beyond each bend in their path. As they set off deeper into the arcane forest, an unspoken bond began to weave between them, fragile yet vital. Beyond survival, they sought hope amid shadow, the first step in an epic journey that would test the very essence of courage and resilience. The forest canopy seemed to close in as Kalen and his companions hurried forward, shafts of moonlight twinkling like fragments of forgotten dreams. As his mind raced with thoughts of their perilous quest, Kalen couldn't help but glance at the scepter nestled in the crook of his arm. It shimmered with an unearthly glow, as if aware of the imminent danger. "So, Mari," Kalen panted, briefly pausing to catch his breath. "You mentioned a plan back there. Care to enlighten us?" The rogue smiled wryly, glancing between her companions with a mischief that belied her sharp intellect. "The dark forces tracking us respond to sound and movement. But," she added, pulling a small glittering vial from her pouch, "this elixir will make us invisible to them, for a time." Ira raised an eyebrow, her skepticism evident. "And have you tested this miracle concoction before, city girl?" "Not on myself," Mari admitted with a chuckle, "but it worked on a goat once." As the silence stretched, broken only by the occasional hoot of a distant owl, Tomlin interjected, his voice a calming balm. "We don't have the luxury of doubt. The Whispering Tower is still miles away, and we've awakened something that should have been left buried." Kalen looked at his friends, his allies, and sensed the newfound strength shared among them. "Let's take the risk. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain." With a nod, Mari distributed the elixir. As they swallowed the strange liquid, a curious sensation washed over them, as if they were being wrapped in a cloak of safety. Within moments, their outlines shimmered, becoming a part of the forest's shadows. "Stick close," Ira whispered, her voice barely above the sighing wind, and hope Mari's goat was onto something. The group resumed their journey, slipping silently through the thickening trees, the laughter of Nerys still haunting the air behind them. Each step brought them closer to the Whispering Tower, each breath filled with the courage only those uncertain of tomorrow can muster. Kalen felt it in his core, the pull of destiny, the whisper of an ancient power reawakened, guiding him forward in the dim glow of fate. The Scepter of Verion was both a gift and a burden, and he vowed to wield it for the light, even as the shadows closed in around them. The ground beneath their feet shifted from the soft crunch of leaves to the cold, unforgiving stone that marked the Whispering Tower's ancient path. As the moon hung high in the night sky, casting a pale glow on the weathered stones, an eerie silence enveloped the group. "There it is," Tomlin whispered reverently, pointing ahead to the crumbling structure barely visible through the dense mist. Its weather-worn turrets reached toward the sky like gnarled fingers ears yearning for the stars. Kalen felt an inexplicable pull toward the tower, a connection he couldn't quite define. The scepter vibrated gently in his hand, its power thrumming in harmony with the energy emanating from the ancient edifice. Ira led the way, her senses attuned to potential danger as she navigated the winding path. "Stay alert," she warned, her voice a low growl beneath the rustling leaves. As they approached the entrance, a low hum filled the air, as if the tower itself was alive, murmuring forgotten secrets. The stone doors stood ajar, a dim light flickering from within, beckoning them inside. "Neris will know we're here," Mari cautioned, her eyes scanning the darkness. "But this is our best chance to unravel the mysteries of the scepter." Once inside, the walls seemed to close in with an oppressive weight. Strange symbols etched into the stone glowed faintly in response to their presence, illuminating the dim chamber with an ethereal light. Tomlin moved toward the center of the room. "Here lies the heart of the tower," he said, waving a hand over an ancient altar. "The lore of Verion is etched in these walls, if we can decipher them." Mari's fingers danced over the glyphs, her rogue instincts quickening as she followed the line of a forgotten story. "It speaks of sacrifice," she muttered. "A great battle between light and shadow, and a power that can only be controlled by understanding one's own darkness." Kalen hesitated, feeling the weight of the scepter grow heavier. "What if I'm not enough?" he confessed, fear and uncertainty creeping into his voice. Ira placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone, Kalen. Together we'll face whatever this tower has to reveal." As they delved deeper into the secrets of the Whispering Tower, the bonds between them tightened, each revelation pulling them closer to a destiny written long ago. Kalen felt the world shift beneath his feet. The choices they made now would echo through Lorien's history, determining its fate in this dance of light and shadow. The air felt thicker in the deepest chamber of the Whispering Tower, as if reality itself struggled to maintain its form against the weight of centuries-old magic. The walls gleamed with arcane inscriptions that seemed to pulse in response to the scepter's presence. Kalen moved closer to the altar, the artifact in his hand glowing with a soft azure light, casting shadows that danced across the stone floor. A sense of apprehension filled him, but there was also an undeniable pull, a feeling that he stood on the precipice of understanding something profound. "Look here," Mari whispered, crouching to examine an especially vivid section of the fresco. "This part mentions an eclipse, a time when the balance of power is in flux. It's when Verion wielded the scepter to banish Neris, capturing him." "In shadow," Tomlin finished for her, nodding slowly. "The eclipse, it's more than a prophecy, it's a cycle. Whatever is awakened can be put to rest again, if we act before it comes full circle." Ira's eyes narrowed. "And when's the next eclipse?" "In 2 days," Tomlin replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "It aligns perfectly with the signs we've seen, Neris' return." Kalen's heart thumped with urgency, but also with a spark of hope. "Then we have a chance. We need to prepare, to learn to wield the scepter fully." His own words felt like they marked a turning point. The old sage stroked his beard, considering the implications. "The scepter's powers can be amplified during the eclipse. It's where light and darkness touch, a time when the world can be reshaped. But," he added cautiously, "only if its wielder has the strength to face his fears." Standing amidst ancient magic and shadowed prophecy, Kalen met the eyes of each of his companions, drawing strength from their shared resolve. "We end this where the shadows are born," he declared, his voice carrying through the chamber. The brief pause allowed them to absorb the gravity of their path, the immense stakes of what lay ahead. As they turned to leave, to journey onward to the mountains where the shadows were thickest, the tower whispered gently behind them, as if urging them to forge light from darkness. Every step outside felt heavier with purpose, and the forest seemed to hold its breath in quiet anticipation. Kalen could feel the scepter humming with awakening energy. It would guide them, lend them the might of ancient magic. This quest was more than a challenge. It was an opportunity for redemption and unity, a chance to banish the dark once and for all. Their journey led them away from the dim glow of the Whispering Tower into the sweeping expanse of the Dragonspire Mountains. Snowfall kissed the earth, a stark contrast to the swirling dread of their mission. Kalen trudged forward, the chill cutting through his cloak, but the warmth of the scepter seeped through his hand, tethering him to courage amidst the cold. His companions followed close behind, their breath forming misty clouds in the mountain air. "We must reach the peak before twilight," Ira said, her voice a beacon of fortitude. "The path will become treacherous when darkness falls." The landscape was unforgiving. A rugged labyrinth of cliffs and hidden chasms whispered to be the birthplaces of ancient enchantments and lurking spirits. Yet it was also the closest point to the heavens, where they might connect with the celestial forces needed to harness the Scepter's power. "It's hard to believe Verion once traveled these paths," Kalen said, glancing around at the vastness stretching in all directions, "and that he wove the light that holds Neris at bay." Mari adjusted her cloak, her eyes scanning the landscape for any sign of movement. "You're more like him than you know," she murmured, almost to herself. "He wasn't alone either. Legends never are." Tomlin nodded, acknowledging the wisdom threaded through Mari's words. Indeed, Verion was part of a fellowship. Together they found strength beyond themselves, much like we're doing now. The climb pushed them to their limits, each step a battle against the biting wind. But Kalen felt a deeper well of resolve, drawn from the unity growing among them. Here, on the mountain's edge, amidst the elements, he began to understand his place in the weaving of fate. "Look!" Ira pointed ahead, interrupting his thoughts. Carved into the mountainside, barely hidden under the snow's veil, was an ancient doorway, its frame marked by sigils that seemed alive to Kalen's senses. As they approached, the sigils glowed in recognition, responding to the presence of the scepter. The door creaked open, releasing a rush of warmer air and revealing a cavernous interior, aglow with the soft luminescence of embedded crystals. "This is the heart of the mountain," Tomlin whispered, wondrous awe in his voice. "It's where Verion trained, where he learned to master the Scepter's potential." Stepping inside, Kalen knew this was the place where they could prepare for the coming battle. The weight of his journey felt lighter somehow, grounded in the knowledge of those who walked before him. Together, they would awaken the power of Verion once more, tethering light against the shadow's advance. In the heart of the mountain, the air was suffused with an ancient energy, humming with the echoes of past enchantments. Flickering light reflected off the walls of crystal, creating a kaleidoscope of colors that danced around them as if alive. Kalen stood at the center of the chamber, his senses raw with anticipation. The scepter felt weightier, its power seeming to intertwine with the mountain's aura, urging him to connect with the magic that lay dormant within. Tomlin looked around the chamber, his eyes alight with recognition. "These walls have witnessed centuries, an inscribed map for those chosen to wield its power," he mused, tracing a hand over the etchings that lit up under his touch. Mari moved closer to Kalen, her voice lowered, as if sharing a secret. This is where you discover what the scepter truly means." Ira nodded, gazing around the sacred space. "We should take turns keeping watch outside. We've come far, but the shadows will not wait." With a firm nod, she left to stand guard, her silhouette quickly blending into the snow outside. As the group settled in, Tomlin began to chant softly in the old tongue, his words weaving a spell that filled the cavern with warmth and light. Kalen felt their power seep into his bones, awakening something deep within him, the ancient lore mingling with his essence. "Start with the heart," Tomlin instructed, gesturing to the glow enveloping Kalen. "Feel its pulse. Let it guide you beyond what your eyes see." Closing his eyes, Kalen focused on the scepter. He imagined threads of energy stretching out, joining his spirit with the latent forces surrounding him. A comforting presence filled his mind, as if Verion himself lingered in the ether, guiding his hand. Memories flowed through him, snapshots of lives lived and battles fought. He saw glimpses of Verion, a man not unlike himself, faced with impossible choices, yet finding strength in the bonds of kinship and hope. The realization was invigorating. He didn't stand alone against Neris. "Kalen!" Mari's voice broke through gently, pulling him back to the present. "Did you see it?" He nodded, meeting her gaze with renewed determination. "Yes. The past, the future, they're intertwined here. It's about understanding our own light and the shadows we cast." He glanced around at his companions, feeling a surge of unity. Whatever doubts had haunted him began to dissipate. Here, in the heart of the ancient mountain, inspiration blossomed like a long-forgotten fire. This moment marked the start of his true awakening, a prelude to the final confrontation looming on the edge of destiny. With the heart of the mountain now echoing with the resonance of Kalen's newfound clarity, the companions prepared to confront the mounting darkness. Outside, the snow had ceased, leaving the air crisp and the night sky a deep velvet tapestry flecked with stars. It was as if the heavens held their breath, casting down silent blessings upon the four as they embarked on the final stretch of their arduous journey. Tomlin helped stow away their makeshift camp, his voice steady, but laced with a sense of urgency. Neris grows stronger with each passing moment, feeding on the shadows, the fears. We must approach the source of his power at the Dragonspire Peak before the eclipse, he urged. Let's descend, Ira stated, returning from her vigil with a resolute nod. Her presence was a sanctuary of strength, rallying them forward. The descent was not without its challenges. The mountain paths twisted treacherously, coiling around rocks slick with ice, as if testing their resolve. Every step demanded focus and trust, not just in themselves, but in the earth beneath their feet. As they traveled, Mari raised a point that had weighed on all their minds. And once we face him, what's the plan? She asked, her voice tinged with curiosity and a touch of trepidation. Kalen held the scepter aloft, its light a beacon against the encroaching darkness. The scepter will guide us when the time comes. It's about alignment. Verion's heart cannot succeed without ours in unison, he explained, drawing from the new depths of understanding the mountain had imprinted within him. As dawn began to crest, painting the horizon in shades of fire and rose, they reached a clearing overlooking the valley below, a tapestry of mist and shadow silhouetted against the lightening sky. There, silhouetted against the rising sun, loomed the path upward toward the Dragonspire Peak, known to be the place where the world and spirit realms touched. It felt like the entire world funneled to this towering precipice, a beacon where light met darkness head-on. It begins here, Tomlin said softly as the earth rumbled and the veil of the mundane fell away to reveal the face of ancient forces in play. Kalen felt the scepter pulse in harmony with his heartbeat, a steadiness anchoring him amid the storm of uncertainty. Together, they would forge a future from the threads of fate, a tale woven of courage and unity, as they took the first step toward the battlefield of shadows. The path before them challenged everything they had known, and within its folds lay the true test of their resolve. In the shadow of the Dragonspire Peak, their journey's purpose crystallized, to reclaim the balance that Neris sought to shatter, and to stand unwavering in the light of a new dawn. The climb to the Dragonspire Peak was fraught with challenges, both seen and unseen, as if the very air was alive with resistance. The path wound sharply, weaving precariously close to sheer drops that disappeared into the clouds below. Kalen and his companions moved methodically, every step an act of defiance against the encroaching dread. The scepter burned brightly in his grip, a lighthouse in a sea of looming shadows, guiding them toward their inevitable confrontation. We're close now, Ira pointed out, her voice firm against the whistling wind. I can feel the shift. It's like we're treading the line between two worlds. As if in response, the air grew heavier, charged with a familiar, malevolent presence that sent shivers along their spines. The once distant laughter of Neris now echoed among the peaks, a chilling reminder of the power they faced. He knows we're coming, Mari stated, her eyes narrowing as she slipped into the shadows, scouting ahead with the stealth only a Helos rogue could muster. Tomlin, ever vigilant, murmured words of protection in the old tongue, casting wards that wrapped them in a thin veil of safety. Keep your heart steady, he advised, his voice a calming presence amid the brewing storm. It's when fear grips us that Neris is strongest. As they drew closer, the path split, revealing a wide plateau lit by the eerie glow of the eclipse, starting to cast its first creeping shadow across the land. It was here that the full measure of Neris's power came into view. A great chasm split the earth, and from its depths, shadows crawled forth, shifting and undulating, forming an ethereal barrier that pulsed with an unholy life of its own. This is it, Kalen said, bracing himself as he stared into the heart of looming darkness. This is where we make our stand. Ira unsheathed her gleaming sword, its edge glinting in the dim light as if eager for the impending battle. "We do this together, Sheeler," she affirmed, her fierce spirit infusing them all with fresh resolve. Mari rejoined them, her eyes gleaming with determination. "I've seen a path through the shadows. It's a narrow way, but it might just be our edge." Kalen stepped forward, lifting the scepter high, feeling Verion's spirit interlaced with his own. With one final glance at his companions, a silent vow passed between them, a promise that whatever the outcome, they would not falter. The air crackled with energy as they moved toward the chasm. Bound by fate and unyielding courage, they prepared to step into the shadows. Neris awaited them, but it was amidst these midnight veils that the light of the scepter shone brightest, a testament to their unity and unyielding resolve. The moment Kalen and his companions crossed the threshold into the shadowy domain, reality seeped away, replaced by a surreal realm where time tangled with darkness. The air was charged with a silence that pressed down on their hearts, urging caution but daring them to proceed. Within this twilight world, Neris's presence was an oppressive weight, an unseen specter lurking in the periphery, watching, waiting. They pushed forward, each step revealing more of the shadowy expanse that stretched infinitely around them. Mari moved like a whisper between the phantoms that loomed, her eyes keenly searching for the path she envisioned. A narrow passage visible only in the echoes of her rogue intuition. "Here," she whispered, gesturing to a faint glimmer of hope cutting through the darkness. Era held her sword aloft, its edge a beacon reflecting the dim light emanating from Kalen's scepter. Her resolve was a tangible force, emboldening their steps as they threaded the path Mari discerned. "Tomlin," Kalen said, his voice steady though his heart pounded with urgency. "Can you feel it? The scepter is calling. There's a center to this place, an anchor of Neris's strength." The sage nodded, pulling his cloak tighter against the chill that crept inwards. "Indeed, young enchanter, the shadows are deep here because they guard the heart of his power. We must reach it and unravel his dark nexus." As they delved deeper, the atmosphere thickened, teeming with whispers of forgotten fears. Each voice, each flicker of doubt threatened to draw them in, but the bond between companions held them fast, facing the darkness unified. Suddenly, the shadows parted, revealing a vast open space where the shadows writhed, converging over a pulsating core of darkness. Here Neris took form, a void cloaked in ephemeral shadows, eyes burning with an insidious gleam. "You dare challenge the shadows?" Neris's voice was a resonant echo, a deep abyss that threatened to swallow hope whole. Kalen stepped forward, the scepter glowing with an azure fire, a defiant star against the midnight deep. "Neris, your time in the light is over," he declared, his voice unwavering amidst the storm. "The scepter holds the power of light once wielded to banish you, and together we stand against your darkness." Neris laughed, a sound like the shattering of stars, as tendrils of darkness reached out, testing the resolve of the companions. The ground beneath trembled as their confrontation neared its climax, the eclipse above casting a deep shadows that mingled with Neris's essence. United, they faced the oncoming storm, Era with her fervent courage, Mari with her cunning perception, Tomlin with his unfaltering wisdom, and Kalen with the burning heart of Verion's legacy. Together, they would confront the essence of shadow, wielding light and unity against a threat as ancient as time itself. In the heart of the shadowed realm, the final confrontation unfurled like a tapestry of cosmic conflict, a spectacle of light versus darkness that would reverberate through the annals of Lorien's history. Around them, the shadows churned, alive with menace, as if the very fabric of this place responded to Neris's command. Kalen lifted the Scepter of Verion high, feeling it pulse with the gathered might of ages. A fierce light burst from its tip, intertwining with the aura of his companions, binding them together as an unbreakable front against the midnight tide. Neris's form roared, sending tendrils of shadow darting toward them, each fractal a manifestation of doubt and despair. Yet the bonds forged through trials and tribulations held firm, unyielding in the face of such overwhelming force. Ira charged forward, her sword a relentless flash of brilliance, cutting through the shadow with every determined strike. "For Lorien," she cried, her voice echoing with defiance, spurring her companions onward. Mari danced through the chaos, her movements swift and deliberate, Her daggers glinted as she struck with precision, unraveling the knots of shadow from within, laying bare the illusions of fear. Tomlin's chants rose above the fray, incantations imbued with the wisdom of the ages coaxing the scepter to its fullest potential. "Focus the light, unravel his darkness," he urged, weaving spells that wrapped the companions in protective wards. In the center of this maelstrom, Kalen felt the scepter responding to their unified resolve, churning with the energy of the eclipse overhead. He reached deep within himself, embracing the light and shadow, finding the harmony that existed between the forces. "This ends now, Neris." Kalen's declaration rippled through the shadowed void, each word a battle cry. As if resonating with his intent, the scepter flared brilliantly, casting an all-encompassing radiance that blasted through the dark tendrils, licking away at Neris' essence. The ancient entity writhed, battling against the searing light, until finally it could withstand no longer. With a final, anguished cry, Neris disintegrated, scattered into the shadows once more, leaving only the soft glow of the eclipse as testament to what had transpired. As the darkness receded, serenity returned to Dragonspire Peak, the first blush of dawn breaking across the horizon. Kalen and his companions stood in the stillness, the weight of their triumph settling around them like a warm mantle. "We did it," Mari said softly, breaking the quiet, her voice a mix of awe and relief. "Together," Ira affirmed, sheathing her sword with a sense of purpose renewed. Tomlin's eyes twinkled, his pride evident. The balance restored as it was meant to be, Lorien breathed free once more. Kalen, holding the scepter now as a symbol of hard-won peace, nodded. Within him lay the knowledge, the legacy of Verion, not merely an artifact, but a testament to unity. Together they had carved a new destiny, etched into the fabric of Lorien's future. As the sun crested fully over the mountains and cast long golden beams across the land, the heroes bore witness not only to a new dawn, but to a world of possibilities, born from bravery, sacrifice, and the enduring light of hope.